Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have our second episode of the Debates Among Friends interview series where we have Downtown Eddie Brown and we're going to talk some Highland games starting now. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Professor John Gotti of Debates Among Friends, here to give you an exclusive interview with the man from the desert, Mr. Downtown Eddie Brown. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's Tuesday, the sun is out, and I'm feeling healthy, and I can't help but be blessed, you know?
I like it.
But I know we've been trying to get you onto the show for a while. Your agent's been dodging us, but I was able to finally trap him in the corner. We got you in the studio tonight, and let's talk something that you're passionate about, if you don't mind.
Okay.
The Highland
About,
games.
Teletubbies?
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, folks. Oh gosh.
Highland games, kind of interesting. It's an ancient way that the Scottish kind of determined who the best warriors or the best fighters were.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a series of kind of strength events. They call it the grandfather of all strength sports. So, before weightlifting, before strongman, before any of that, there was the Highland Games. And consists of, 8 different events, all for distance with the exception of weight over bar, which is for height, and caber, which is not for distance, it's for accuracy. So you've got a heavy and light hammer, heavy and light weight, heavy and light stone, the weight over bar, and the caber. So it's basically a cumulative event. The point system is kind of like golf, where the lowest score wins. Mm-hmm. So if you get first place in an event, it's 1 point, second place is 2 points, so on. And then at the end of the day, they tally up all your points from all the events, and whoever has the lowest number wins. Got
it. So I know you mentioned how it's, not so much like strongman. So what is the difference between Highland Games and strongman competitions?
So it's funny because they're actually popularized in America by the same person, David Webster. He's kind of the founder of both those things. They used to have contracts with ESPN that would show both the Highland Games and strongman all the way up into like the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think sometime in the mid-2000s, ESPN renegotiated the contract and they dropped the Highland Games and kept strongman because it was more popular with the crowds. But the main difference is just that Highland Games it looks a lot like track and field, where they're throwing things that you'd see in the Olympics, such as the shot put. It's often a stone and not a shot put, but it's pretty similar. Or the wire hammer versus a hammer with a fixed handle. But it's not going to look too foreign if you've seen the Olympics. The main difference is going to be that guys are wearing kilts or skirts, as some people call them. And in strongman, you got like Atlas stones, you've got log press, you've got Viking press, different disciplines.
Absolutely.
There is actually also a hybrid. There's a hybrid competition called the Highlander.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a mix between strongman and Highland Games. So there's maybe a couple of throwing events and a couple of strongman events, and they have those in Scotland as well.
Yes, and I actually had the pleasure of being able to watch Mr. Downtown Eddie Brown. Not necessarily compete live, but I was able to catch some of his clips. What events do you necessarily compete in, and what events are your favorites to compete in?
Well, I mean, you got to compete in all of them. You don't really see people pick and choose, because if you skip an event, then you're essentially taking a lap, and you're greatly decreasing your chances of winning the overall. But my favorite event is probably the caber, just because it's a real crowd pleaser. When you're throwing the implement it's hard to tell the difference between someone who threw something 75 feet versus someone who threw it, let's say, 76 feet, right? There's a foot difference, and it's not really enough for the crowd to be able to gauge who is clearly the better thrower. With the caber, it's a very visual event. You know, either the caber flips or doesn't, and more often than not, it doesn't turn. And so the crowd has a really easy time of judging kind of like the power and the prowess of the throwers in that event.
Yes. Currently, right now, though, I know we often joke about your quest to becoming the #1 ranked in the world in the Highland Games. What's your current world ranking right now, if you don't mind me asking?
I think on NASCA I'm #3 right now. I mean, there's kind of a weird distinction in the Highland Games where you have like an amateur and a pro class. So, and then there's even games where you kind of have a pro-am, so it's like an elite division, but I've competed in amateur, I've competed in the pro-ams. I haven't ever competed exclusively in a pro class. I would like to, I'm working up to that, but it has not happened this season. I'm thinking 2018 is going to be my year. But my claim to fame is that in 2016, I won the Amateur World Championships in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Which is, by itself, it's, you know, quite the achievement.
Yeah, I was really pumped. You know, it was a rainy day, definitely not great conditions to throw in. And I think I ended up winning because I was probably just the best able to stay on my feet in that rain.
Yeah, yeah. I know you mentioned the scheduling. How does that work out? So I guess it's a two-part question. If someone's trying to get into Highland Games, what kind of things they need to do to A, get themselves involved and train, and, you know, how do you adapt to the different scheduling things that you have to go into different cities for?
Well, basically, I would say try to find a competition near you to start. So if you go to NASGA.com or .net NASGA, North American Scottish Games Association, they've got a calendar on their site that shows when and where games are occurring, the contact information for like the athletic director, how you can get involved and sign up. There's typically an entry fee, but you're definitely going to get a lot for your money because I think it's like $30, $35 typically. You get a T-shirt, you get food, so they feed you lunch usually, and they'll have water or Gatorade on the field. So it's not like they're pocketing all that cash. A lot of it's going back into the event to help support it and make it better for everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I wouldn't stress too much about training. Just go out there and try it. Go out there and see it. And if you love it, you'll find people to train with. And if you don't, well, then I guess you got a good experience, and you can say that you checked it off the bucket list.
Absolutely. And real quickly before I let you do your final, I guess you could say, promo about, you know, yourself, your passion for Highland Games and whatnot. What is your current training regimen for the Highland Games? Like, what do you do on a weekly basis to get yourself engaged and keep yourself in shape?
Well, I go to the gym 5 or 6 days a week doing different things, you know, bench, squat, clean is the core of my lifting, and then some accessory exercises to support those movements. You know, Olympic lifting too, so like hang cleans and snatches, things like that. Of course, diet's important. I watch what I eat because I don't want to blimp up and become the fat guy that uses strength sports as an excuse to be overweight. And then, of course, throwing. So, I mean, I'm out 2 or 3 times a week practicing the events. Usually I'll do weights and hammers one day and stones on its own, and then maybe one day with all the events together, kind of like a mock competition.
I like it. And, you know, luckily you don't go to Carolinas every single week, every single day, right?
No, not at all. Yeah, that's a delicious... They actually just opened up a new location.
Where?
It's a shame you're not here to experience it because right by my house.
Oh my gosh. I mean, if it was up to me, John Gotti would be traveling through every single state to enjoy the culinary delights of each city. But I'm going to make it a goal to come back out there to the desert to hang out with downtown Eddie Brown.
Or we could meet in California with Moots.
Oh, yes. Which, I mean, we can get the trio all back together and just cause a lot of chaos.
They do have a beach.
Oh, damn, there is that too. I'm starting to develop a slight beach body, so I'll be ready for that. But
I like it.
I know that we're pushing on time. I'm going to give you this quick 2 minutes to tell the people more about the Highland Games, about, you know, your passion for it, and just give them a message, sir. So I'll leave it out to you.
Well, I guess what I want to leave with is saying that it's important for you to find something you're passionate about, a hobby of any sort. So, you know, for me, that happens to be the Highland Games. And although I enjoy it, you might not, or, you know, it's not for everyone. So I would encourage everyone out there to find a hobby they could kind of be competitive with, whether that's quilting or, you know, playing chess or whatever the case may be, and working towards that. It's good for your mind, it's good for your morale, it's good for your body, and it's just part, I think, of human experience and development to kind of have that drive, that competition, and something to kind of hope for and look forward to outside of, you know, your family and work and things like that.
And it's important to always find something that makes you happy, something that doesn't feel like work, that, you know, you go into that you just end up dreading. And I completely agree with you,
yeah, exactly.
Mr. Brown. But, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize. It's a short show. I promise you that downtown Eddie Brown will return one day on an episode of Debates
I
Among
will
Friends.
be back.
He will. You know, in fact, we don't have to borrow him from the actual building like we do Senior October. He'll be welcome. We'll roll down the red carpet and all that jazz. But be sure to catch tomorrow's show at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with myself and Doc Ocean as we talk about sports, give our predictions, and offer our opinions. This is Professor John Gotti, and once again, thank you very much for Downtown Eddie Brown for stopping by today, and we'll catch you all soon. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Peace and love.
That takes us where we are from the far reaches, believing the cause of alarm. Got it holy close to the innermost of the toes, deeper than the material man to the soul side. Deep deeper so I can see clearer through a broke down. Never gotta stand in the river going down memory lane. The pain innocent of place lanes, a new faith, the race to begin to be. Bringing in and playing into the world from the pyramids, the sand messages to the earth. The blood will to the rest. People are searching yearning for a new era of self, which is occurring. Say the affairs, screaming out loud and take a stand. Utopian never obtaining this foul air we breathing. Deceived by the power that's leaving. I'm all on the hands of those who hold me closer. Building the hope we need to show the following generations and nations are getting older. Not wiser, despots to keep the fire, but if this future ball is gonna rise up high up to the ears of most high. Who looks low and hopes that we make it through this time. High up to the ears of most high. Who looks low hopes that we make it through this time. This is a new condition, come and get your people alive. Raise the people when coming to this era. To the only way of thinking I will never resign. Until a point I will wish I need to better. This is a new condition, come and get your people alive. Raise the people when coming to this era. To the only way of thinking I will never resign. Until a point I will wish I need to better. So I'm not just the way you think you walk a losses. So fuck your office, your sponsors and true monsters. Eating decent hard work, folks and glow hard. And no wonder why you keep them all on the beat, cause I call them the quality of your industry. Wasting of the energy, misappropriated funds, guns to the enemy. Told for a fucking bug and then you wanna fucking run. Singing in on the scene, breaking conditions for fun. Watching other body fall, praying for the time to calm. Is it just a thought of all the wishing for another form? On and on, we're wailing on the arms. We're gnashing the feet, they waving up the arms. Not the streams, blood falling through the air run. Now we just was sweet nothing, so we feel the last sun. Now holding back like a wrong for the afterglow. Radiation in the air, in the fan, they get over. This is a new edition, come and get your people alive. It's the people when coming to this era spot. To the old way of thinking I will never resign. Into a point I will wish I could do better. This is a new edition, come and get your people alive. It's the people when coming to this era spot. To expedition, come and get your dick in line. It's a people when it comes to this era spot. To the whole world thinking I will never sign. Into a corner room, wishing things were better. The real tragedy is when you want to prove reality. That how I live is how you wanna live. It's such a travesty, mind state. You wanna hold me back in the non-face. You're just a representative of evil and blind hate. So let it be unless it's hurting you like it's hurting me. You're justifying your control over the whole police. Saying for a better, you're really just a selfish fool. Trying just to get the goods under wraps and make a move.